Hello my lords and ladies. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so excited for today's video because today we're talking about cozy fantasy books, and I love cozy fantasy books. I love everything that makes me feel magical and whimsical and is comforting. In this video I'm going to be combining first some more popular cozy fantasy reads, and at the end some very niche ones that you probably never heard about. So make sure to stick around till the end because it's getting good. I can't wait to show these to you because some of these I have read and loved, and some of these are some that are just recommendations that I have found and that I really want to read and that sound really good and that are definitely on my TBR. First, let's start with some popular books. I'm going to be reading the back of these books, the synopsis, from my iPad because I have ADHD and there's no way I can remember all these names and plots and everything. And I'm going to be showing you some Pinterest pictures so you can imagine what I'm talking about. First is Legends and Lattes, which is a very popular cozy fantasy, maybe even the popular cozy fantasy that started the genre, if you ask my opinion. This is by Travis Baldree, by the way. The synopsis reads, after a lifetime of bounties and bloodshed, Viv is hanging up her sword for the last time. The battle-weary orc aims to a fresh start, opening the first ever coffee shop in the city of Thun. But old and new rivals stand in the way of success, not to mention the fact that no one has the faintest idea of what coffee actually is. If Viv wants to put the blade behind her and make her plans a reality, she won't be able to go to it alone. True reward of the uncharted path are the travelers you meet along the way, and whether drawn together by accident, magic, flaky pastry, or a freshly brewed cup, they may become partners, family, and something deeper than she could ever have dreamed. This book is not very plot heavy, and that's the main criticism that it gets online, that people are like, oh, this book is just vibes, it has no plot. Personally, I love a book with just vibes and no plot, and there's definitely other books in here that have a lot more plot than this one. But if you're someone who just wants cozy, nothing happens, I'm happy, I'm in a beautiful atmosphere type book, this is definitely for you. Next is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sangu Mandana. I read this book and I loved it. I gave it 5 stars a few years ago. It was so good and so sweet and just precious and is so close to my heart. I read this in fall and I thought that it was perfect for fall, but it's also perfect in every other season, so don't let that deter you. It's just the sweetest book about found family. If I think about the found family trope, I think about this book for real. It's a warm and uplifting novel about an isolated witch whose opportunity to embrace a quirky new family and a new love changes the course of her life. As one of the witches in Britain, Nika Moon knows that she has to hide her magic, keep her head down, and stay away from other witches so their powers don't mingle and draw attention. And as an orphan who lost her parents at a young age and was raised by strangers, she's used to being alone and she follows the rules, with one exception, an online account where she posts videos pretending to be a witch. She knows no one will take it seriously, but someone does. An unexpected message arrives, begging her to travel to the remote and mysterious nowhere house to teach 3 young witches how to control their magic. If I tell you that this book is good, it's an understatement, okay? I need to stop. That book was so precious, and I 100% know you're gonna love this. If you looked up this video in order to find some cozy fantasy reads, this is a good one. Another book that is really popular and that you're probably gonna love is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies. This book is so good and so yummy and just delicious and beautiful in the vibes. The author is called Heather Fawcett. Her curmudgeonly professor journeys to a small town in the far north to study fairy folklore and discovers dark fae magic, friendship, and love in the start of heartwarming and enchanting new fantasy series. Cambridge professor Emily Wilde is good at many things. She is the foremost expert on the study of fairies. She is a genius scholar and a meticulous researcher who is writing the world's first encyclopedia of fairy lore. But Emily Wilde is not good at people. She could never make a small talk at a party or even get invited to one, and she prefers the company of her books, her dog, and the fair folk. So when she arrives, Emily has no intention of befriending the gruff townsfolk, nor does she care to spend time with another new arrival, her dashing and insufferably handsome academic rival, Wendell Bartleby, who manages to charm the townsfolk, get in the middle of Emily's research, and utterly confound and frustrate her. Ooh! This is awesome, okay? Read this. This is going to be for you. And I think this is in the format of diary entries as well. So, I heard only amazing things about this book, and this is a series by now. There's multiple of these. Obviously, I cannot make this video without including Howl's Moving Castle. Sophie has the great misfortune of being the eldest of 3 daughters, destined to fail miserably should she ever leave home to seek her fate. But when she unwillingly attracts the ire of the witch of the waste, Sophie finds herself under a horrid spell that transforms her into an old lady. Her only chance at breaking it lies in the ever-moving castle in the hills, the wizard Howl's Castle. To untangle the enchantment, Sophie must handle the heartless Howl, strike a bargain with the fire demon, and meet the Witch of the Waste head on. Along the way, she discovers that there's far more to Howl and herself than first meets the eye. I read this book, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. This was a 5-star read. It was so good. This was, I can only repeat myself, delicious. This was scrumptious. This was, I think about this book all the freaking time. Just one of these books that stays in your head. Next, there is A Song for the Wild Build by Becky Chambers. I started reading this book recently, but I haven't finished it yet. But this was only beautiful vibes, so philosophical and so beautiful, and just fills you with hope, kind of, about the state of the world and about the world and people in general and the meaning of life, kind of. Centuries before, robots of Panga gained self-awareness, laid down their tools, wandered en masse into the wilderness, never to be seen again. They faded into myth and urban legend. Now the life of a tea monk who tells this story is upset by the arrival of a robot, there to honor the old promise of checking in. The robot cannot go back until the question of what do people need is answered. But the answer to that question depends on who you ask and how. They will need to ask it a lot. Chambers series asks, in a world where people have what they want, does having more matter? Anyways. Next is a graphic novel that I desperately want in my collection because the cover is so beautiful. The Tea Dragon Society. This is by Katie O'Neill. This cover has been floating around my Vinted and my eBay accounts when I'm browsing for vintage books all the time, and I want it so bad. I've seen so many people on BookTok have this as like an aesthetic little piece of art in their beautiful bookshelves, and I love this. I want this so bad, and I'm going to read to you what it is about, and hopefully this is going to give me the last kick that I need to finally buy this. From the award-winning author of Princess Ever After comes the Tea Dragon Society, a charming all-age book that follows the story of Greta, a blacksmith apprentice, and the people she meets as she becomes entwined in the enchanting world of tea dragons. After discovering a lost tea dragon in the marketplace, Greta learns about the dying art form of tea dragon caretaking from a kind tea shop owner, Ezekiel and Eric. As she befriends them and their shy ward, Manette, Greta sees how their craft enriches their lives, and eventually her own. Ooh! Oh, tell me that this cover isn't everything. Tell me that this is not everything. This is so beautiful, and the art in this is so beautiful. I've seen it before. I'm so jealous. I want this. If you read this, please tell me how you liked it, because I really need to be convinced to read this as well. I wanted this for years at this point. Another very popular novel that you're definitely going to love is Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson himself. I think he wrote this for his children. This is very different from his other novels, and it is way more cozy, way more sweet and gentle and beautiful than a lot of his normal books that he has written that are high fantasy, I think. #1 New York Times bestselling author Brandon Sanderson expands his Cosmere universe, shared by the Stormlight Archive and Mistborn, with a new standalone novel for everyone who loved The Princess Bride. The only life Tress has known on her island home in an emerald green ocean has been a simple one, with the simple pleasures of collecting cups brought by sailors from faraway lands and listening to stories told by her friend Charlie. But when his father takes him on a voyage to find a bride and disaster strikes, Tress must stow away on a ship to seek the sorceress of the deadly midnight sea. Amid the spore oceans where pirates abound, can Tress leave her simple life behind and make her own place sailing a sea where a single drop of water can mean instant death? Yeah, I trust Brandon Sanderson. I don't think he can do any wrong. My boyfriend has all of his books in his bookshelf back there, and that means something, okay? I know for a fact that I would love this book, and I would love to read it with my boyfriend together, honestly. This is just something that I think couples can really read well together because it's so wholesome and cute, and it's by an author that boys would like as well, so if you have a boyfriend, consider reading this to him. Next, we have Flower Heart by Catherine Bakewell. This cover is also just everything. What is it with the super beautiful artsy covers? I would frame this in my house. This is so beautiful. Let me read to you what it's about. Clara's magic has always been wild, but it's never been dangerous. Then a simple touch causes poisonous flowers to bloom in her father's chest. The only way to heal him is to cast an extremely difficult spell that requires perfect control, and the only person willing to help her is her former best friend Xavier, who's grown from a sweet, shy child into someone distant and mysterious. Xavier asks a terrible price in return, knowing Clara will give anything to save her father. As she struggles to reconcile the new Xavier with the boy she once loved, she discovers how many secrets he's hiding, and as she hunts for the truth, she instead finds the root of a terrible darkness that's taken hold in the queendom, a darkness only Clara's magic is powerful enough to stop. This is actually already on my Kindle because I want to read this so bad, and I have been planning to read this for a while now, so I think after this video I might go pick it up because this sounds awesome. Another book that I have read and loved is The Ex-Hex. Oh my god, this was the perfect fall read. People have so much to say about this book, and I think this is a perfect witchy romance book. You cannot tell me anything bad about this, and I will not believe you. Because if you didn't like this, you're a hater, and you're a hater at heart. Because this book is just so cozy, so cute, so funny too. It's just, let me read to you what this was about, because you're gonna love this. I already know. New York Times bestselling author Rachel Hawkins writes as Erin Sterling casts a spell with a spine-tingling romance full of wishes, witches, and hexes gone wrong. 9 years ago, Vivian Jones nursed her broken heart like any young witch would. Vodka, weeping music, bubble baths, and a curse on a horrible boyfriend. Sure, Vivi knows she shouldn't use her magic this way, but with only an orchard hayride-scented candle on hand, she isn't worried it will cause anything more than a bad hair a day or two. That is until Reese Penhallow, descendant of the town's ancestors, breaker of hearts, and annoyingly just as gorgeous as she always was, returns to Graves Glen, Georgia. What should be a quick trip to recharge the town's ley lines and make an appearance at the annual fall festival turns disastrously wrong. This is a book about a girl as a teenager who had a broken heart and cast a curse on her ex-boyfriend, and it worked. So this is like fantasy romance at its best, okay? This is just a witchy book. If you love witchy books, you need to read The Ex-Hex. It's a classic, and I think there's also other books in this series at this point. Next, we have a classic, Garden Spells by Sarah Addison Allen. This cover is so beautiful, and I have had this book recommended to me so many times. I have not read it yet, but I'm very excited to, and I am going to read it at some point. And if you have read this, please tell me how it was. Convince me to read this, because I really, really want to. It just sounds so ethereal. And I want to know what this is about so bad. I need to refresh my own memory, so let's read the blurb. In a garden surrounded by tall fence, tucked away behind a small, quiet house in an even smaller town, is an apple tree that is rumored to be a very special sort of fruit. In this luminous debut novel, Sarah Addison Allen tells the story of that enchanted tree and the extraordinary people who tend it. The Waverleys have always been a curious family, endowed with particular gifts that make them outsiders even in the hometown of Bascom, North Carolina. Even their garden has a reputation, famous for its feisty apple tree that bears prophetic fruit and its edible flowers imbued with special powers. Generations of Waverleys tended this garden. Their story was in the soil, but so were their futures. Alright, that is it for today's video. I hope you like these recommendations. I now am in the complete cozy mood and want to read some of these books so bad, so I'm gonna go, and I hope to see you around on my channel. This was so much fun. Bye!